Hey, Kevin here from DIYDork.com. Today I want to show you a really bare bones simple table I built using some free barn wood and pallet wood pieces and some other wood that I found on the side of the road not too long ago. So check this out. This is a really cool project. Alright, so check it out. Here is the wood I'm going to use to build this table. I know it's really nasty looking now, but it will turn out really awesome once I sand it and finish it. This stuff looks really incredible. Now this is all free wood, by the way. I picked it up off the side of the road. If you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, you would have seen about 2 weeks ago it was bulk trash pickup day. And on this one road when I was driving around, there was about 3 or 4 houses that just had tons and tons of wood. So I filled up my van with as much as I could possibly fit in there. And maybe I'll throw a picture in here real quick and kind of show you what I picked up. But anyway, for the tabletop, what I'm using is 2 pieces of old barn wood, which has a really incredible texture to it. And it's really nasty looking now, but once it sands down, it looks really incredible. And I'm going to try to get as much length out of it as I can, just chop off the little dry rotted section here. And then if the tabletop is just a little too rough, or you know, the big splits, may not be the best thing for like dusting to use as an actual table, I can use the back side, and this looks really awesome too. You can see it's a lot better shape. Once this sands down, it still has that deep red look, which will look pretty awesome. And then as you can see, I'm going to throw in an old 2x4 in the middle just to kind of widen it out and add sort of a lighter stripe for just a little design. And it should be the same way. When I sand this one down, it should lighten quite a bit. And you know, these will stay that kind of red, and this should stay really nice light, you know, pine color. Alright, so then for the base and the legs, I'm going to use these boards here. Now I believe these, you can see they have that little groove in them, and I believe these are the boards like when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and they have their piles of 2x4s or plywood and all that, and they just have them on a couple of wood skids so that the forklift can get under it. I think that's what this is, and then that little gouge on there is so that the strapping, they use that little plastic strapping to wrap everything. I think that will just sit in there so it don't drag on the floor. So anyway, whoever had this wood chopped some of them up into stakes. It kind of looks like they were using them as batten strips for like laying out a deck or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to take them off. The little short ones I'm going to chop up into legs, and then these longer pieces I'm just going to build a really simple rectangle substructure for the bottom of this. And then the construction would be really simple. I'll just try to screw everything together, maybe a little bit of glue to keep it real simple, no special tools or anything like that. And then I may paint the legs just to, you know, kind of make them pop a little bit, but I haven't quite decided that either. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do is chop up my boards. I think I can get 40 inches out of them, and just get them going, and then I will start working on the little substructure as well. Alright, so while chopping all the boards down to 40 inches, I realized that the 2x4 had some termite damage, so I don't want to use it. So I looked through my pile and I found this board, which is way cooler. Check out that super industrial printing on there. It's going to look really awesome. So I'm just only going to lightly sand it, and then I'll sand all the other boards, and I'll make sure to round off of the edges and make sure it's nice and smooth and there's no splinters. So I will sand these next, and then I will get started on the base. Alright, so check it out. I have the boards sanded and they look really nice now. The 2 bigger boards are going to get really nice and brownish red, and this middle board is going to stay kind of gray. Looks really cool with the printing on there. So I'll finish them out later, but now what I'm going to do is start working on the frame. So I decided that since my tabletop is 40 inches long and it's 22 inches wide, I'm just going to inset the frame by 1.5 inches all the way around. So the longer sides are going to be 37 inches long, and then the shorter sides are going to be 19 inches long. But since this board is 1.5 inches thick, these boards are only going to be, I only have to cut 16 inches. Alright, so then I'll just drop in a little glue and probably 2 screws just to hold them together, keep them real simple. This is a super basic build. Alright, then I can go ahead and take some more of these boards and I'll cut them probably about 15 inches long, and then like I've done on other videos, I'll add a really slight 10-degree angle on both edges. Okay, and then I will just simply place them right down here, add a little glue, and put 2 or 3 screws to hold them in. Just keep that really basic as well, and it should turn out pretty awesome. Then I can finish it all out with some clear coat, and this thing is going to really pop. So I'll get started on that frame next. Alright, so now my legs are all cut and they are ready to go. Got them all sanded and everything. Yeah, but before I mount them, I actually want to mount the top to the frame first, then I can flip the whole thing over and mount the legs. Alright, so what I have done is I took my measuring tape and I found the center point, which is that mark right there. Alright, then my middle board is 3.5 inches wide. So what I did is I measured 1 3/4 inches that way and 1 3/4 inches that way, so that I can set it on there and just line it up to those lines. Okay, one more thing I did is you can see that line right there. That is 1.5 inches from the edge, and that's how much overhang is going to be. So what I've done is I should be able to line it up just like that. And I've done the same thing to the other side. So now it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is drill 2 pilot holes and then drop in 2 of these screws right here and do the same thing to the other side. Then when I put on these ends, all I have to do is butt them up, line them up to there, and do the same thing, 2 screws. And of course, like I said, I'm keeping it super simple, so I'm just screwing right through the face and keeping it, you know, kind of rustic. So anyway, I'll do that next. Alright, so now my tabletop is screwed to the base, and if you notice, the really rough texture is actually facing down because I flipped it upside down to attach legs. And I may go ahead and flip them later, but I decided to go with the smooth side facing out. But once I take it apart to clear coat, I may go ahead and flip them over. So anyway, real quick, let me show you how to attach legs. It's pretty simple. Alright, so if you remember, I added 10-degree angle cuts on the legs. Also, they have those little channels routed out. I decided to use those as a design feature, so they're going to face out. So when you look at this table, you will see those. Okay, so I'm just keeping it real simple. I'm just laying it flat and I'm buttoning it against both of these base pieces until I can't move it anymore. And then I'm just going to clamp it and drill 3 pilot holes and then add 3 screws and keep it real simple. I don't even think I'm going to glue the legs in. That way they can be taken off if needed for some reason. So I'll do that next. Alright, and check it out. There it is, all put together. Looks pretty good, but it's still raw. It's going to look a lot different once I add the clear coat. So to do that, I'm actually going to unscrew the top 3 planks and take them off so I can clear coat them separately. And I can also clear coat the base all in one unit, and I'll be able to get in all the little areas that are covered by the tabletop right now. Then I will also decide if I want to keep these smoother barn board faces up or if I want to flip it over and have the rough side, but I'll determine that after it's all clear coated, so I'll do that next. All right, now it's time to show you the table. And I know that was really cheesy, but here you go. All right, so the tabletop turned out pretty awesome. It's 40 by 22, so it has plenty of space to hold whatever you want. And as you can see, I kept the barnwood texture facing up. I decided to go ahead and just use all the character and patina that I could out of it and just, you know, really show it off. So it looks pretty awesome. Now, it's probably not going to be too fun once it starts collecting dust, but it does look cool for now. The one thing I'm not super crazy about is the 2x4 in the middle. I was really hoping that even after I clear coated it, it would stay lighter, but I should have known it would, you know, basically turn into the same color. I was just kind of hoping for, you know, a little bit different color stripe in the middle. The other thing that's kind of a bummer is I tried to lightly sand so that the lettering and the numbers wouldn't disappear, but they kind of did anyway. And then after I clear coated, they disappeared even more. So it kind of looks like a mistake now. So when I go to sell this, I'll make sure to tell them that I, you know, did that on purpose, so it doesn't look like I missed something, you know, glaringly obvious there. Okay, another thing, the legs. I said I was going to cut them at 15 inches, but you probably noticed in the video I cut them at 16. That way when you add in the thickness of the tabletop, which is 1.5 inches, the whole thing is 17.5 tall, which is a really nice height for a lot of couches. Any shorter, it sometimes seems a little short, and any taller, it seems a little goofy as well. So about 16 to 18 inches is usually a pretty good height for a table like this. Okay, another thing, the table legs. Just kicking them out that 10 degrees. It's not much, and I mean, you really have to look at it to tell they're kicked out. And I don't know if it shows on video as well as in person, but it just really elevates the design of the whole piece. When they're straight, it just has that kind of homemade look. But when you kick them out, it just, I don't know, it just bumps it up a little bit and looks a little bit nicer. And it was super easy to do, you know, just 2 cuts on both sides and that's it. Okay, also I'm really glad that my wife suggested to stick the routed sides of those boards for the legs sticking out. Just really cool, kind of adds to the details, and I almost wish I had done it to the base piece now too, but I wasn't thinking about it then. And you know, when you got them facing out, you're just kind of using the wood as is. You're not trying to hide it or anything like that, and it just adds something a little special to it. So it turned out pretty awesome. Okay, now when I clear coated it, I put on 3 coats, and the first and second coat I sanded really quick with my fine grit foam block, which is about a 220 or so grit. And then the third coat is just right over it, and I didn't sand it, and it turned out really nice and really nice and smooth. And then also, I mean, I kept this thing bare bone simple, so it is just screws straight through the sides, no fancy tools or anything like that used. And it's not everyone's cup of tea, but on a rustic table like this, I think it looks pretty cool. So anyway, there you go. That's how you make this really simple, free barnwood and pallet wood and whatever I could find on the side of the road table.